We have risen from the ashes to school the masses. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another edition of the Scholars of Wrestling Show, episode 458. I'm your man behind the microphone and your current reigning Scholars of Wrestling Party Champion. I am Scholar Jeff. Joining us this week is the OG Undisputed Scholar himself and your current reigning and soon to be defending Scholars of Wrestling World Champion. He is Scholar Tarek. Scholar Tarek, how's tonight treating you, sir?
Correction, I technically have been defending. Like I said last week, I technically have been defending because I'm always trying to keep it away from Charlie. As long as he has that beef case, I am always defending, just like you're always defending against Charlie when you had the belt, Jeff. When Brian has the belt, he's always defending against Charlie. As long as he has that goddamn beef case, he's always defending. And that makes me the reigning and defending Scholars of Wrestling Heavyweight Champion of the World.
And the mics blow out.
Scholar Tarek?
For those of you who are watching
for
those of you who are listening to the audio version of this show, yes, Tarek did just have a seizure just now, but it's okay. It's all cool. Speaking of okay and all cool, last but certainly not least, joining us this week, the last but not least of our triad, he is another undisputed scholar in his own right. He is the always lovely and effervescent. He is Scholar Brian. Scholar Brian, how's life treating you, sir?
Well, I no longer sound like the drunk, demented uncle of Daffy Duck, so I can actually show up on video and talk semi-normally to you
Although,
people
to be perfectly
for the
honest,
first time
Brian,
in about
I would
6
love
months.
to have heard that.
Would you,
with
though?
Your description, with your description on how you were sounding, I do kind of wish I heard that.
Yeah, there's a reason I never picked up the phone.
Hey, we're all here. We're all back right where we ought to be. And it's a time for another episode of the Scholars of Wrestling Show because we've got a whole lot of wrestling to cover. We are only weeks away from Wrestlemania 40. So let's just dive right into it, starting with this last week of Smackdown, where we had the return of the Rock concert. This time with no direct guitar in hand. Rock is very clearly reading off of a sheet of paper here. On the other hand, this one had some good writing. It had some good jokes. But at the same time, the delivery was somewhat lacking. You could the whole thing with the Rock writing is what was it, a couple of years ago where the Rock wrote his lines on his arm and
during the first scene
WrestleMania 29. if around the time of WrestleMania 29 and 28 was a couple of years ago, then yes, absolutely.
I don't
know exactly.
We're in the post-COVID era. I've got no sense of time or space. Leave me alone.
Hey, I was there for night two, or for their twice in a lifetime. So screw me, right?
The issue with these kind of segments, when you know they're coming, all right, you're always going to have how do they measure up to the first one? How do they measure up to the second one? Okay, and the way that they did this one compared to the others, it's going to come up lacking every time. It just is. And the Rock has enough charisma to make it work, even if it's not as well thought out as the first two. But it's at this point, once you start going in on social media for 16 minutes and 20 minutes, just going off on Cody Rhodes and his entire family and everything around him and all that, it kind of makes a Rock concert like I don't need it.
Like seem tamed.
Yeah, it's like you start off with the Rock concert and then you go into the social media ramblings. You don't start with the social media ramblings if you're going to do a rock concert, because the rock concert isn't going to work if you've already done all the good jabs.
I think the thing with the rock with the concert, in my opinion, is it's not the concert itself that I'm really focusing on. It's now the how it just connects to the overall story. And the part of it that's more interesting to me when it comes to this story is it's he's the Rock is now focusing, like, he's making it now more about like him versus the Rhodes family, more so than the bloodline and his family and versus the Rhodes family, to the point where yes, he still acknowledged Roman Reigns as the tribal chief, but he's not, as Cody worded it on Monday, Roman's side chick. Rock is still calling himself the final boss in all this. And now branching it on to what the Cody Rhodes promo he had with Paul Heyman on Monday, where Paul goes, Roman wants to talk to Cody one-on-one. No bloodline, no one else, no backup for Cody. Just him, just Roman, just Cody, and Paul Heyman, because he's the wise man. He just has to be there. Which most are believing online, and I myself included, with The Rock looking at himself as the final boss and making this feud with Cody more personal on his end. I think he's going to come whether Roman wants him to come or not, and that starts building tension on him between the bloodline to fuel of what's going to happen on night one at WrestleMania.
Yeah, it's like at the beginning, everyone was like, is Cody and Seth going to be able to coexist and all that noise? But it's the whole time in the back of my head, it was always, is The Rock going to kowtow? Is The Rock going to bend to Roman Reigns? And I agree with Tarek. This is the beginning of letting everybody know that The Rock isn't bowing to Roman Reigns. The Rock isn't playing second fiddle to Roman Reigns. The Rock still thinks he's the main character in this storyline, even though everybody knows he isn't. So this just confirms that all this is a buildup to either a Saudi show or next year's WrestleMania. We're getting Rock versus Roman. This is just the beginning of it, because you're gonna have the final boss versus the tribal chief. That's what this is building to.
And that's what they needed to do in the first place. People argue that this story has been building for many years. And I can argue and say that in all honesty, it really wasn't, because it's only backstage stories. It's not stuff that's happening on camera. And now that we're actually getting the story on camera, we're now getting those seeds planted for Roman and Rock eventually, which I think it will be at next year's WrestleMania. And between that and then, like after WrestleMania 40, we're most likely going to see a Bloodline Civil War storyline. Now, since they're actually hiring more members of the Anoa'i family from like independents, there's now plenty of bloodline or potential bloodline members to actually, like, okay, Team Rock versus Team Roman, and that could just be your storyline build. Hell, it can, if anything, be at Saudi show, WrestleMania. Maybe the Saudi show could be the bloodline match. But to be fair, they have plenty of time to build it, and we all know once this WrestleMania is over, Roman and Rock are most likely going to have time away from TV. They're not going to be on Raw and SmackDown every week. They're going to take some time off in between then. So a potential bloodline storyline could be more than could work with it throughout the year.
Yeah, I think that's definitely where we're headed, but I think it's
But when
not really a question of whether or not we're going to get it. It's a matter of how.
and we're getting how, and I like the how, because we're getting a how in the first place. We're not getting the actual match at WrestleMania 40 like they were trying to in the first place. Now we're getting the tag team single and the singles between Roman and Cody. That's not like future bloodline storyline. That's in the future. We're in the now. I'm liking what they're doing. I like that they're not putting a leash on Cody, because of the whole report that came out about Rock being allowed to basically curse whenever he wants to, be all natural. I like that Cody was given basically the same thing with his promo, and basically doing a little backstage politics, like him saving and Brian Guritz mentioning, and I like all that. It's showing that they are trusting in Cody enough that, yeah, he is a big face in the company that could actually be the face of the company once Roman loses the belt and takes a break. But yeah, that's just the main event, and I'm enjoying what I saw on that. Now, when it comes to like the lower card stuff, it's a different answer. Are they good? Are they bad? Yes and no. What is stuff from the mid card that you guys that are looking forward to, that they've been building the last couple of the last, like, Smackdown, Raw, whatever?
Well, frankly, going off of this whole bloodline civil war thing that we are all anticipating, just coming out during and coming out of WrestleMania 40, we finally got the long rumored match confirmed. That's what I'm looking forward to. It's Jimmy Uso versus Jey Uso at WrestleMania. Finally, the the Usos' dream match is finally happening. Just the way it's being set up, this could be a really exciting match. And
And I like that Jimmy's rationale is very simple. It's like, you left, you went to another show, you won the tag team titles with Cody, and that's what this is. That's all. That's all this is. All Sometimes it just needs to be simple. The brother is jealous of the other brother for the success he's had on a different show once he dropped him. That's it.
I think the only other I think the only, like, I'm looking forward to that too, and they are doing a good job. But then I'm also thinking there is more storyline that they, like, only hinted at, and I feel like hopefully between, like, tomorrow, Monday, and next week, because we got 2 weeks left, or 3 weeks, right? How much time do we have till Mania?
I'd say
2
about
weeks.
2 weeks.
2 weeks. Okay, so yeah, there's still plenty of time to add more, but they through hints of the fact that Jimmy says to Jey, I did the stuff that I did to protect you, which I'm now putting, they threw subtle hints, but I'm, like, trying to put the pieces together of, like, yeah, the reason Jimmy super kicked Solo when Jey initially kicked Jimmy, and basically kicked himself out of the bloodline when they had that that original turn with Roman. The whole story is that with Jimmy's frame of mind, he's trying to protect Jey. He attacked Roman because Jimmy wants to have us on the same level as Roman. We're family. We're the longest reigning tag team champions. We deserve the respect we get. And with Roman pushing Jey around, Jimmy attacked him to basically wake him up. You may be the tribal chief, but we deserve much more respect than what you're giving us. And so Jey took it in his own hands, one, to kick Jimmy out in that promo. It's like, guess what, Oos? You're out. and I'm out too. And he super kicks Roman. Basically, Jimmy was trying to give notice on the bloodline. Like, we deserve the respect, but Jay took it upon himself and had his beef with Roman to basically, he's like, you know what? We're not dealing with this. We're out. And when you look at that and the long story, at the long run of this story, you understand why Jimmy actually turned on Jay at SummerSlam. It's like, now you're basically letting your ego get the best of you. You want to be tribal. You want it to be tribal chief. Look what it's done to him. Why do you want that power and all that? And now you decided to go on your own and win the tag team championship with Cody, the guy who's going against our family. Like, yeah, there's so much story here. And even though Jimmy started off that promo on Monday right, and then when it came to like, oh, this is done because of me, it may have just been that execution, but that part just didn't work for me. I just like, oh, you had me at the beginning with the details of the story, but then it just became that because of me. But with you saying, Brian, it's now the simple aspect of the storytelling, like the jealous brother and all that. Now those pieces can connect to the pieces I was just laying out, and it actually even adds even more dimension to the match. And now it actually makes me look forward to it even more.
Yeah, at every single way that you look at this, yeah, there were some missteps, but then again, this has been going on for such a long period of time that it covers up a lot of ills. There has been far more hits than misses when it comes to this entire feud. And on a very meta level, both Usos have said that they've really wanted this match. This was like
This match was
bucket
inevitable.
list level stuff where they want to have just brother versus brother at WrestleMania. And even I think I saw a tweet from Rikishi just saying like, okay, this is gonna be an all timer. You know, just sit back and enjoy. Just watch the kids work. And
I want him to be in the crowd.
Because it's also like this is the time that they built it up to a point where it's like this is the only time where this match is going to work and make sense, and you can actually have like a long ranging story with it. Any other time, it's just Jimmy versus Jay. Now it's like there's story, there's stakes, there's a whole bunch of crap surrounding it that you can get invested in. It's like this is the time they built it up enough where it's like Jimmy versus Jay. Yeah, hell yeah, let's go. That's it.
Which lets me bring out a Scholar's Quick Talk before I want to talk about the Intercontinental build-up. I feel like I have to bring that one up at least. Brings the scholar now the Scholar's Quick Talk. Do you think the match between Jimmy and Jay will be Cody Dustin level?
I don't know if it'll be that level because you had.
Or do you think it will reach that level of like emotion? Do you think like the match will end? Like, even though they'll have the match as like they'll have their dynamics as a face and a heel. Do you think they'll have that moment where they'll end up like giving each other a hug at the end because it's such an emotional moment?
It really depends on how they play it. Because Cody versus Dustin was a one-off. By itself. It was an exhibition match, basically. Didn't have any story behind it. Was just something they put on the card, and it turned out to be the best thing by far on that show. This is a match with story. This is a match with stakes. This is a match where they actually turned on each other and beat the crap out of each other. So it's like, I don't think it's going to get to that level where they suddenly turn around and have the emotional ending. I don't think it's going to get to that bit because of how they did the story building up to it. If it was one, if the turns weren't them actually like beating the crap out of each other, I could see it. but this is a thing on like a whole different kind of level than Cody versus Dustin.
And as for all of
Fair.
those reasons, I'm going to say no as well. Does it have the capacity to be like a very emotionally dramatic match? Absolutely. However, emotions and drama come in flavors, as we know. And really, Cody Dustin was very different than the beast that we've got between Jimmy and Jay right now. This is a lot more like a family civil war kind of feud. Could it be brutal? Sure. Is it going to be bloody? Possibly. But given how unique that Cody and Dustin was, I don't think we're going to get the exact same thing. I think the Usos family brawl is going to be a much different beast. Good in quality, highly dramatic, but ultimately I think Cody Dustin is going to be its own thing, and then Jimmy and Jay is going to be its own thing too.
If
That makes
anything,
sense.
if anything, we'll most likely get that moment in like the documentary of whatever of the Usos, and
Yeah,
like
the
that
backstage.
final, the series will end with them like highlights of the match, and then you'll see the backstage bit once they go behind the curtain, once they go into the pit, and they just give each other a hug. That was a fun time. Then you see Rikishi give them a hug, and then that'll be their Cody Dustin moment, not like in the ring, because like you said, they don't have it, but once the characters are dropped, then we'll see the real emotion of it.
Yeah. You know that there's going to be camera people backstage. We're not going to see that footage for like at least another 6 months. But hey, it's going to be its own thing. I'm very much looking forward to it, to answer your original question. And as far as other mid card matches I'm looking forward to for WrestleMania, we got another one confirmed here. This one I did not see coming. It's Logan Paul defending his United States Championship against both Kevin Owens and Randy Orton. I did not see a triple threat coming on this one.
Well, I could tell you right now who's not going to win. I don't think they're going to put the United States title on Randy Orton. I think he's above that at this point. He's
Has he even won
just
that belt
here
yet,
to
bro?
say, I think he's just here to say that he was on WrestleMania. But
Has he won that belt yet?
I don't think he ever has. And frankly, I think if he wants to do something with the belt, Randy to say, "Hey, I want to do something with the belt," and they'd give it
I
to
I
him.
I
The
think that
only
this is Kevin Owens to lose here. I think this is I think they've been building up Kevin Owens and Logan Paul for so long. Randy Orton just kind of flew in under the radar, but they've been building up Kevin Owens and Logan Paul for so long that I feel like this is Logan Paul isn't walking. I mean, triple threat. Logan Paul could walk out of WrestleMania as United States champion now. If it was a singles match, I'd be more confident in saying that Logan Paul is done as United States champion. But Randy Orton could be the wrinkle that lets him retain. I just don't think that Randy Orton I don't think he's going to walk out as United States champion. I think it's Logan Paul or Kevin Owens because that's the actual story
I
here
agree
that's
on
been
that.
going on for months.
I agree on that. The only excuse me. The only reason that I would just say, hey, let Randy Orton be in the match is give him a chance to be a Grand Slam champion. That's it. If that's the only belt he hasn't won yet, let him. It's pretty much like Sheamus with the Intercontinental Championship. It's like, you know what? If he can win it, let him win it. But I'm with you, Brian. I don't think he's winning it. It's gonna be between Logan Paul and Kevin Owens.
So you're saying there's a chance?
Like a 2% chance.
Hey,
A
either
pity win.
way, it
Like a
makes it just enough.
33.3 chance.
Scott Steiner making an appearance at WrestleCon 2 weeks from now. Let's go.
He's someone I would love to see his name on the party championship. He
Oh,
is absolute, and just with numbers too. Steiner numbers.
hey, Lord willing, the creek don't rise. We'll have that conversation next week. But for right now, there's still a whole lot of other matches that are getting confirmed for WrestleMania, including elsewhere on Raw. We got more entrants from the tag team tournament. We got qualifiers for a six team, six pack challenge ladder match at WrestleMania. The tag team match. We got 3 more teams qualified. We got DIY, we got New Day, and we got Awesome Truth with their awesome entrance again. All 3 teams have officially been confirmed for the 6-pack challenge match at WrestleMania. And honestly,
the only thing I have to say about this is Johnny Gargano is at WrestleMania. Good enough for me.
Johnny Gargano. DIY is at WrestleMania. That's why I just want them to win the tag belts. I don't care about Awesome Truth anymore. Like with the whole story, possibly like when they were leaning towards Judgment Day versus Awesome Truth in the beginning. Sure, if they were just going to be a simple straight tag team match, sure. Now that it's a mixed like 6-pack challenge, and now DIY is in it, and they're on such a good run right now, and they're getting the crowd behind them, which back. I'm now all for them to win it in their debut match at their debut WrestleMania. Yeah, give it to them. That's all I got to say about the tag team turmoil. Now let's move on to the Intercontinental Championship. Because you goddamn teased me.
You got this so built up, and it was so.
You got it so built up, and then as soon as you said tag team, you just knocked me back down. God damn you!
Hey, to be fair, I don't have the Intercontinental Championship on my run sheet because we already knew that match was coming. All I can say
building that they're actually making this the Rocky storyline of WrestleMania.
I'm not saying it's bad by any means. I'm just saying that I got preoccupied with the new matches. And for the record, yeah, I am thrilled that DIY is getting their WrestleMania match. I'm not sure if they're going to win it yet. I got to see what the other 2 entrants are. But it was just brought to my attention that this is going to be DIY's first WrestleMania. I'm like, yeah, okay, you got me. I'm looking forward to this.
But who knows? Maybe they'll use this match to split up the tag team titles, which is apparently a rumor going around.
That I'll be interested to see how they pull that off if that's the case. But
like team fighting, and then they both pull out like the SmackDown belt and the Raw belt. But that's just rumor. But
I'm not sold on that just yet. But
I'm not sold on it either. But whatever.
I'm trying to segue into the Intercontinental title now, and I'm like, no, you just have to have a fun conversation.
You brought up that on that end, and yes,
I know. I just need to complete my thought. I'm just messing around, but yes, I do want to see that. I'm very much looking forward to the next 2 tag team matches are, but as you mentioned, we do have one hell of a Intercontinental Championship match on the horizon as well.
But let me go first because in the group chat, I am the dissenter here.
Fight amongst yourselves. I don't care. Go.
I don't think Sami Zayn should be the one to take the Intercontinental title off of Gunther. But if they're going with the Rocky storyline, they have to go full in on it. Okay. You got to have the underdog. Tarek brought up cutting his hair and going back to the NXT. Sami Zayn, I don't think you need to go that far. I think you still got the bushy underdog. He looks like the everyman right now, which is what you need if you're doing the Rocky storyline. So I say you keep the aesthetic that Sami Zayn has going right now, and if you're gonna have Chad Gable coaching him, it's like they've backed themselves into a corner now. If they're doing this storyline, they have to have Sami Zayn beat Gunther, and I still don't think that's the right move. I still think that Gable should have been the one to take it off of him. I still think that that's 100% the only right decision. So it's like, this is the one time that you will ever hear me say that I am not happy with Sami Zayn winning a title. It's the
Okay.
one and only time that will ever happen. For me, it's just the way you built up Gable, the way you built up the storyline, making his kids cry, and he wants to do it for his kids and all that, and then you take it away to give it. It's like I can't even be mad at Sammy because it's like he's, but it's like the way you built up Gable to just do this with it. I'm like, the move was Gable. If you wanted to do Rocky, the move was the move was Gable. You're doing it with Sammy, that's fine, but it's not the move for me.
I completely understand that, and I do agree with you. I even said it last week that my preference was Gable, and honestly, it still is. But it's now reached the point. It's like at that point, well, it is what it is. Hopefully, they'll work it to the point where I can actually find still entertainment in it. And yeah, as it's hard not to love Sammy. But for what they're doing now with Gable basically is like, as we're talked about it both off and on screen, like this is now their Rocky story. Chad Gable is the Mickey to Sami Zayn's Rocky. And as Brian put, the only way now to have this work is Sammy to win it. If he ends up not winning it, then you should have just had Gable have the match. But you want to have Sammy on the Mania card? You may not be for the cleanup for Sammy to stay as the everyman, and I completely understand that. But with the story they're going with Chad not having the confidence in him, and it makes like now the question: who are you trying to like? Sammy, you're saying I can beat you. I've defeated the longest reigning tag team champions last WrestleMania. Now I'm going to end the longest reigning Intercontinental Championship at now this WrestleMania, but no one believes him. And it just begs the question: who are you trying to convince yourself with that, Sammy? Are you trying to convince me, or are you trying to convince yourself? And I just feel like having that training montage building up and that leading to it's like the brand new look as it's just a new way to help build confidence as he's still being booked as the underdog, but he's now he's at a more confidence. He's now definitely the more I don't need to convince myself because I know it's the truth type of ordeal. And I think that would just work wonders and maybe even afterwards lead to an eventual match between Sammy and Chad. Okay, it's like you beat me. I beat you last time because, as you put it, you saw a window and took it. Let's see. It's like let's go for round two. Apollo, ring the bell. Ding. Continuing with the Rocky montage. Sure, why not? At that point, you just hopefully they go in that direction because it'll lead to a Eye of the Tiger freeze frame between Sammy and Chad. Keep going with the Rocky references, but I do agree with you. If that's not the case, if they don't do that, then why not just give it to Chad because he had the better chance of actually having that finally defeating Apollo, since he technically did he has beat him. It's a guy who knows how to beat Gunther because he's did it. Yes, count out, but he still beat him. It's like them referencing, oh, Seth Rollins beat Roman. Yeah, through DQ, but it's still a technical win. So yeah, that's all, and that's all I got to say about that.
Yeah, I'm just gonna come right out and say it. I completely disagree with both of you. Like I feel like everyone looking into this match, not just us here, but I feel like everyone involved has just like it's this match more so than a lot of other matches on the WrestleMania card. I can't help but feel like this is one of those ones that it's really easy to overthink. What do I mean by that? Well, we're so wrapped up in, okay, it should have been Chad Gable, and it probably should have. Chad Gable was an awesome talent. Had all these great matches with Gunther, but at the same time, and we're so wrapped up in, okay, it's in Philadelphia, so it's got to be the Rocky story. I disagree. Not every underdog story has to be like Rocky. I get where, again, it's in Philly, yada yada, but it doesn't have to be a one for one in terms of storyline beats. Number one. Number two, while Chad Gable absolutely upped his stock with all of those matches with Gunther, and rightfully so, they were fantastic. With overall, between not just match quality, but overall star power, I have a hard time visualizing anybody, very many people who are able to have both the match quality and star power to take the Intercontinental title off of Gunther at this point. Sami Zayn, in my mind, is part of a very, very small list of people who can get that done and who should get it done. If with the proper push, could Chad Gable be that guy? Yes, I absolutely do think so. I just don't think that he's right there yet, at least not enough to take the precedence off of Sami Zayn. So if I've got to put forth any sort of scholar's quick talk to you two, just to get the juices flowing, so to speak, my scholar's quick talk question is, if Sami Zayn is not the man to take the title off of Gunther and end his historic title reign, who would that person be?
My choices are Sheamus and
If
Chad.
Sami Zayn loses, it goes right back to Gable.
It's Chad and Sheamus for me. It's one of those two.
It's
Sheamus,
Chad
I
and
believe.
Sheamus. It's Chad and Sheamus, because I think before Chad came in, I was the proponent of Sheamus must beat Gunther. They've been building that up for a year and a half now. So it's just one of those things where it's like Sammy hasn't built up the capital with Gunther himself in order for him beating Gunther now to resonate with me at all. Okay, you have two guys who have been built up, who have built up enough rapport with Gunther himself where them beating him and taking the title away from him would make sense. Whereas if Sammy does it on the first try, it's like it's not going to resonate the same. That's my hang up going in. Okay, you have two guys built up who know what it takes to beat Gunther clean one-on-one, just haven't been able to do it yet. Whereas you're going to have this guy come in and on the first try take it from him. It doesn't work for me. That was my whole thing coming. That was just my whole thing coming in. It's like you got to make it make sense to me, and that's not going to happen. It's just not.
Well, in a couple weeks, we're going to see if you're correct. But
the only way I could really see this happening, sorry, fool, didn't mean to cut you off there.
Fire away.
But the only real way, it's like, as Brian was explaining this, it was just clicking in my head. I'm just looking at this as like, once again, going back to Sammy cleaning himself up. It's the similar aspect. You're right. Maybe I don't have the confidence. Maybe not this, like how this Sami Zayn is right now, but the Sami Zayn that won the NXT championship is ready to basically pull his Mankind to Cactus Jack moment. And it's like this Sami Zayn to NXT Sami Zayn.
If he actually trims his beard to that length again and he's willing to do it, then maybe. Or what if he goes back even further and puts the mask back on?
He's not doing El Generico. Stop it. Get
out. If he does
no.
El Generico, I will change my mind.
No, If it turns
Sami
to El
Zayn
Generico, I
can't
would be
beat
like,
El-
absolutely not.
Sami Zayn can't
Absolutely.
beat Gunther, but El Generico. You know you love it. You know you do.
No, I don't want it. It's great, but I don't want it. Not
Yeah,
to end Gunther's title reign. No, absolutely not. Not this title reign. No.
yeah. I just feel like if you're gonna end that title reign, if you're gonna
No.
end Gunther's title reign, it shouldn't be on a first try. That's my take. It's like you have two guys who have had like 3 or 4 shots to take it, and there have been underlying reasons why they haven't done it, and if they've and finally overcoming is a better story to me than however you frame Sami Zayn taking it from him on the first try.
Mm-hmm.
That's my thing.
Well, as much as I beg to differ, and we'll see how that whole thing progresses, and we'll see who's right. Well, we did have someone who did beat someone for a title on the first try. And that is, of course, looking ahead to AEW Dynamite, where, as I figured, Okada defeated Eddie Kingston for the Continental Crown Championship.
You had
First
to.
try.
No, you had to. It's Okada. Okada is different, and it as and it's one of those things where immediately when they said Okada was facing Eddie Kingston, I'm like, well, okay, good job, Eddie. Good job, Eddie. It's over now.
It's like congratulations, Eddie. Your consolation title is going to be taken to someone else who could actually probably do something with it.
I wasn't gonna go that far, but okay.
But yeah,
Neither was I.
It's me.
Yeah,
Old habits die hard. I know.
It's what.
Hey, I'm not going to be I'm not as hard as I'm now. Like now I've reached that point where I'm now. It's like I'm not going to be as harsh, but I'm just doing this just to piss everyone off.
Yeah,
You are so
now I'm just doing it.
You are so lucky Eddie Kingston's not going to be at WrestleCon. Otherwise, I would have him autograph the shit out of the party belt just for you.
No,
at this point, just like at this point, like I said, it's like I said. Now I've worn. It's like I'm not fully on there, but I am to the point. It's like okay, he earned my respect after his match with Danielson. I said it on air. I am confirming it. He earned my respect after his match with Danielson. But that's not going to stop me from. It's not going to stop me from messing with him and messing with you guys because I have like once it's like I saw they announced this match and I laughed out loud because like I even said it last week. Yep, he's gonna win it next week. Just watch. And it's like, sorry, Eddie. They took the belt that's pretty much your FTW championship and just be like, here's someone who could probably make it even more, who could probably make it relevant because, as I made that perfectly clear last week, I think that title is worthless.
I think that's a little hyperbolic, but we're just getting started.
Well, that's what happens when you have the company that now has 3 mid-card titles. 2 is fine, but now with third one, no. That 3 is one too many.
Not to go into this whole conversation again, but in a recent interview with Tony Khan, he did clarify the rules for the Continental Crown Championship. It is its own belt, but basically whoever holds it before the next tournament begins guarantees entry into that tournament and has to defend it throughout the entire tournament. So we did clarify that since our last conversation.
Cool, but so only that certain time of year where that title actually means something.
Well, it still means something in the overall scheme of things. It's just not the same exact thing. Yeah, it does.
For the rest of the year, it really doesn't. That the only time of year when it really matters is the guarantee into that tournament, which is probably the tournament now is again for the title. Yay. Other than that, it's just another prop.
we're talking about wrestling. All the belts are props. I mean,
Well,
if you take it to that
there's
extreme,
there's a difference. There's a difference between like titles that have been around for a long time and had people basically make names with the belt, and that hopefully Okada can actually do something and make me change my mind. But until then, it means jack shit. Merge it with another belt. Why not?
It's just getting started. There's
And they
no
don't. It's a
discernible
title, but it's
lineage
still.
yet.
It started for something that doesn't need to exist in the first place.
Let it go.
No, I won't let it
I'm
go
not letting
because
this go.
I'm not letting because until they actually do something, instead of just waiting for the next tournament to make it feel like any relevance, then no, this title means jack shit to me. Hopefully Okada can make, and to a lot.
Well,
and
I still disagree. I think the entire tournament, the whole basis for it was to create their American equivalent of the G1. And
the whole point of winning the G1 is a chance at the world title, not just another mid-card belt.
Well, it's meant to be an American equivalent, but it's not the exact one-for-one same thing. Like, it works for me. I understand it's not working for you. I'm just saying, let it play out.
Make it okay. Okada, make this title make sense to me. That's all I got to say.
And because it's Okada, I have all the confidence in the world that this is the next logical step. Eddie Kingston, he had his reign. He had his deal with it. Fine, perfect. Just as long. I got what I wanted. As an Eddie Kingston fan, I got what I wanted. He got what he deserved in my eyes. Now we can all move on from that. And now that we're moving on from Eddie Kingston to Okada,
apparently they are too. They don't even show because it's automatic. It's like, I actually felt bad with the fact that they didn't show him being upset after he lost it. I will now say, at least we got that backstage interview to show how disappointed he was that he got it, that he lost it. At least we have that. And there is the argument. It's like, oh, it's the Young Bucks who are running the whole thing because it's Okada. So of course they don't like Eddie. So it makes sense they're not showing it. It's like, but it still does the fact, okay, I do feel bad for him, but at least we got something with that backstage interview. And now he's focusing on his Ring of Honor world title match against Mark Briscoe.
And frankly, and I'm saying this as an Eddie Kingston fan, I don't care because he still has stuff to do. He's still focusing on the Ring of Honor title and all that stuff. And really, that sort of gritty title scene is exactly where he deserves to be. He got his time in the sun. He got his accolades. Now we're moving on to something else. To me, it's fine. I got no problem with it at all.
And apparently he's going full heel against Mark Briscoe. So I want to see Eddie Kingston as a bad guy. I want to see that, because it's like
actually make it work.
Hell yeah!
You can't.
I mean, now at the point with how popular he is.
No, you can't go up against Mark Briscoe as a babyface. You can't.
He can absolutely go heel.
I mean, technically you can. Technically, you can, but it's just the fact is, can they make it a heel versus heel where it won't turn into
Mark Briscoe's a babyface.
I won't say it's at the level, but it's just sort of like the fans cheering for both of them, like Rock versus Hogan. Hogan bad guy, Rock good guy, and it's just the fact that they're getting it. They're still gonna love, and they love both guys.
When you go up against Mark Briscoe in an ROH building, in an ROH crowd, doesn't matter who you are, you're not getting cheered. So it's like, I want to see Eddie Kingston go full heel, at least for this match, see how it works, and then you can go from there. Because when you go, Mark Briscoe, with everything going on with that family and with him right now, okay, if you put him in an AEW title match, okay, he'd be the one getting cheered. He'd be getting cheered over Swerve.
Frankly, I
So
don't think the biggest question here between Eddie and Mark Briscoe at this point, I think the bigger question is, would they actually put the Ring of Honor title on Mark Briscoe right now?
I
And
think they
that's one
would.
question I honestly
they
don't
would.
know how to answer.
I think they would. 100%.
I think they would too.
100% they would. And I think they should.
I don't know. Like, honestly, I'm divided. Like, to have Eddie
Well,
Kingston lose another championship
because I
this
want to
soon.
see the further descent into crazy heel. And I want to. I've seen the babyface Eddie Kingston. I've seen the real gritty Eddie Kingston. I want to see another. I want to see a different Eddie Kingston. I want to see a bad guy Eddie Kingston. You have him lose this title to Okada, and then you have him lose again, and have the crowd turn on him to cheer Mark Briscoe as Mark Briscoe makes the epic comeback to beat him for the ROH title. That's cinema to me. Let's do it.
I will say, to go on with what you're saying, Brian. Excuse me. I don't see it being like a heel turn beforehand. If they actually are gonna do a potential losing his mind crazy heel Eddie, I want to see it start happening in the match and then starts continuing on from that if he loses. I think that actually would work, as you put, that would work more cinematic more than automatically. Like, keep the face Eddie, keep the wanting to keep the respect going because he respects Mark Briscoe. But once he starts hearing the crowd choose Mark Briscoe over him, that'll start leaning towards the heel turn instead of just, okay, now he's facing Mark Briscoe. Let's now start building this thing as him as a heel.
Yeah, because it's like I love Eddie,
but that's just a potential.
But it's like I'm ready for something different than the character that Eddie Kingston is playing himself, and I get that. But I'd like to see him start to branch out, try some different things with the character. And this is a perfect opportunity to do that. When you're going up against somebody who's more popular than you, and if the crowd does what they're supposed to do and goes full for Mark Briscoe, and that would be standard AEW storytelling. They wouldn't have to work hard.
Yeah,
we'll see when that comes.
Yeah, there's so many different ways it'll go, but
maybe a heel turn will be a best for him because he's been playing. He's been playing himself, and he's still just as popular with some. But would a character change be something that he needs in order to just, it's like, has he reached a point where is a character change good for him?
Has he reached his ceiling as the character of himself?
I think ever since his match with Claudio, I think so.
It certainly seems plausible.
Because he's had that storyline ever since Claudio debuted in AEW, and he had that feud even with the first chance at the Ring of Honor world title for a couple of years. I think, has it been like at least 2 years?
It seems about that.
Because when did Claudio debut? Oh God,
it was about 2 years ago.
Yeah. God, where has time gone?
I'll tell you what, with all this, here's a thought that just occurred to me. Since the beginning of Eddie Kingston's run It seemed like there was always something like he should. All the talk was about, stuff he should do, stuff he should have. If you think about it, all of the obligatory feuds that were like must-haves for him, the Cody thing, the Claudio thing, like we've done that. We've done all that. A world title, like the Japanese strong style titles, whatever. Eddie's already done all that by this point. So in my mind, I'm not thinking, okay, does Eddie need to do something? Does he need to do something new? In my mind, it's more of a he gets to do something new. Kind of like from years ago with the whole Daniel Bryan thing. Okay, Daniel Bryan, yeah, he's overhyped to the moon. I get it. But at the same time, once you get a certain point, he got his world title, he got his recognition. Now we're all over it. He's over it. We can move on to something new. I think Eddie Kingston right now is at that point where we can finally stop dwelling on, okay, he needs to win a world title. He's got to do all these things. It's got to be Claudio. All that stuff is done. We've done it. We've gotten what we wanted. Now we can it's not we have to move on to something else. It's that we can move on to something fresh and new. Does that make sense?
And I think the conversation that we're all having now is just basically signs of that. It's like, what can he do next? Is it like not the question? Like, can he do? Yeah, of course he can. They all can. It's just the question on what and what does he need? In this case, what is it that he can do to keep his story interesting, keep his story not even just interesting, relevant in the long run to the main story of the whole AEW brand or the Ring of Honor brand, because it's under the same umbrella. Or since he's the strong champion, the New Japan brand.
Well,
he has plenty of possibilities. Of course he does.
Yeah,
it's just the question on which path will he take.
Why does he have to sell on just one? If he can work with New Japan and if he's still defending the New Japan Strong Championship, he can fight anybody in Japan he wants to, and they'll come back here and he'll fight whoever.
It's more for me. It's more for me. Okay, he's still got to choose. It's not about the possibilities for me. It's about the character. Okay, the character itself for me is getting a little. I think the ceiling for that character has been reached. Okay. So it's like, yeah, you can do all kinds of other stuff. It's just, how do you freshen up? How do you freshen up the character? How do you freshen up the? How do you freshen up the appearance? How do you freshen up who you face, what you do? Fine, whatever, but freshen up the character a little bit. Let's get some different nuance. The New York Eddie Kingston, the playing himself. Yeah, that's all well and good. We did that. Let's, as you said, let's get some new wrinkles.
And I think with this feud, if they do spark an entire feud with him and Mark Briscoe, if that's the direction they go, hey, there it is right there. You got a good feud. They'll turn him heel and handle things that way. Whatever. Either way, no matter what they do next, I got what I wanted to see. Now, I'm just in for the ride no matter what. But it's
like it's funny that it's like as soon as they announced Okada, I'm like, well, that was fun.
So it was.
It's like everybody knew. You're not putting Okada in a title match 2 weeks in and not having him win.
He's so great.
But elsewhere, in my mind, that wasn't even the most requisite thing that we saw this week.
Yeah, yeah.
Because at the end of Dynamite, we finally got Adam Copeland beat Christian Cage in the I Quit match to become the new TNT champion. Blah. This, more so than anything Eddie Kingston was doing, felt to me more like, okay, this is the more obligatory feud ender. We got the good match. Now we really needed to move on to something new.
But the whole reason that this resonated with me more than anything else that happened this week, these are two real life best friends, okay, who have dreamed about main eventing in their home city of Toronto, and whether the feud went on too long or not, it's like they got to do it, and they did it in style, because that's one of the best no DQ matches that this show has ever done, and that this company has ever done, and everything. Christian Cage, we give you a lot of shit, brother. But this little TNT title reign that you've had going on gets all the golf claps. This was a renaissance. Okay, you're almost 50, and this is the best work you've ever done.
I will second that. Being the most critical of Christian on this show, you could look at the long history of Scholars of Wrestling and see how much of not a fan of Christian I was. This whole story, the whole patriarch story, completely changed my mind. Every time he was on screen, or when he was in the ring, when Jeff and I went to Dynamite, the first Dynamite of the year, I was having the time of my life watching his promo. It turned me into a huge fan of him just because of this storyline, and it was just completely poetic that the patriarch,
put a spike to the nut. Got a spike to the
gets
nuts.
basically castrated on live. Oh, there we go. Jeff came back.
I'm right here.
You froze for a second, so I thought, oh no, did we lose him? Oh no, you're still frozen.
No,
I am not frozen. I'm still good. Just keep going.
Okay, so I guess it's just the connection on my end. But yeah, it's awesome seeing him getting castrated on live TV, like the father getting castrated in front of his children. It was
entertainment.
It was very much entertainment. I loved every second of it. I couldn't stop laughing. To be perfectly honest, I actually thought Edge was going to start pulling I pulled a Taz. Adam Copeland was going to pull a Judgment Day and actually start attacking. First, he's going to attack Killswitch. He's still going to say, I'm not going to quit. But once he starts heading to attack Nick Wade, that's when Christian quits. That's when Christian K said, okay, I quit. Just to keep that story of like the favorite child going with that storyline.
No, but instead he gets castrated, and then he's like, not my face.
And then he gets castrated, and then he gets spaced, and then he quits at the site of literal attempted murder.
Which I mean, fair.
As you do, fair. That's completely fair.
Yeah, it's like where it's like attempted murder, I'd quit too.
That is fair.
Yeah, but it's just like that. This was the best way to end that. It did. Yeah, I agree with Jeff. It did need to end. But the only place it could have ended in a satisfactory way was in Toronto, and they did it. They did it exactly the way they should have. And kudos to both men. And it's like Adam Copeland, man.
He's WWE
didn't want it. WWE didn't want to use you full time. You're doing AEW full time, and you're proving WWE wrong. So it's one of those. It's one of those kudos. Keep it up.
Yeah, we're definitely getting some great stuff. But as far as Adam Copeland is concerned, we've been through this with Eddie Kingston now. Now is the time I think we should talk about Adam Copeland in another Scholars Quick Talk. Who's the next feud for Adam Copeland?
Daniel Garcia.
Looks like it's going to be Daniel Garcia. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Starting with the promo, I think it was last week.
Yeah.
And when you saw the celebration video, it looks like, I don't know if it's going to be a full-on feud, but at least the next match.
Yeah. I don't think it's going to be a feud.
Garcia.
It's going to basically be an open challenge-esque match.
Yeah.
Well,
I don't know where you go with feud.
Honestly, I could see him basically pulling a John Cena United States Open Challenge and just defending the title every week.
That would be an interesting thing. And then if something clicks, you could always turn that into a more longer term feud.
Or actually do that on Collision and defend the title on TNT, because, you know, the TNT Championship instead of defending it on TBS.
No.
And constantly showing the TBS title on TNT. Opposites.
Oh, brother. Hey, at least if nothing else, we still at least have a direction for him. It seems like we got a direction possibly cooking for everyone else. So, hey, lots of great wrestling to come. But anyway, that is this past week in wrestling, and those are our thoughts on it. You know what we think, but now is the time in the show where we turn it over to you, our fellow fans. What do you think of the matches that are being formed for WrestleMania? What other tag teams are going to be added to the six-pack challenge? And what's next for the former champions in AEW? Whatever you would think, we want to hear from you. So drop us a line all across the internet, Facebook comments, YouTube posts, Instagram, and of course our personal favorite, the Twitter machines. We're not calling it X. I don't care.
It's not as favorite as it used to be.
Nah, but hey, we're all over the place and we're all expanding. But Fool, where people reach you?
You can reach me continuing to shout out, make Will Ospreay the AEW World Heavyweight Champion sooner rather than later at the Avataric.
It'll happen soon. Brian, where can they reach you?
You can reach me screaming from the rooftops to make Swerve AEW champion sooner than that at Atomic Beanpole.
To be fair, I even pitched it last week to Jeff. It's like, have Swerve win it and then have Adam Page steal the title from Swerve, and then have the title be Will Ospreay versus Adam Page.
And you can find me not really caring about any of this and just enjoying the ride no matter who we get at I'm Robbie Rage.
Ooh.
Check us out. Join us in join the conversation yourself. And for all of these relevant social media links and much more, check us out at our link tree in the description below. That's linktree/Scholars of Wrestling. And with that, the road to WrestleMania marches on, and we're going to be here every single step of the way and much more. And I'm going to be there. But you already knew that because you know who we are. We are the Scholars of Wrestling, and you have just been schooled. You're welcome.
You're welcome.
The road to WrestleMania continues next week.
Charlie's going to go there too, but he's not on the show to really promote that. So
get over here, Charles.